866-95 Patriot. Let me get all the calls here. Okay, Ian, Virginia, you're on the Wilkow Majority. Hello.
How you doing, Andrew?
Fine, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Wanted to call in and take some umbrage with the position you've just carved out for yourself today.
I didn't carve out anything for myself today. I'm stating fact.
Well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
It is.
As per usual, you build up paper tigers and then you tear them down, and you describe that as fact, I guess, today. So, liberals don't necessarily want to just tax the oil industry into oblivion. This position that we've described in terms of subsidies that are going to the oil industry, we look at the oil industry and we see an extremely profitable industry, and we think to ourselves, why do we have to give a subsidy to them so that they can drill more oil? Well, what makes more sense is if we give those subsidies to emerging industries in the green market. So if we gave that money to industries...
What do you mean gave that money? Define the subsidies for me.
Andrew.
Don't. You mean you can't?
No, I said I just did.
No, define the subsidies. Define the subsidies. For example, when an ethanol company gets a subsidy, it's getting operating capital that it couldn't otherwise raise on its own through private means. That's a government subsidy. I'd like for you to define a subsidy to an oil company.
The subsidy that I'm describing that goes to the oil company is the money that the oil company gets back from drilling oil, in the ground. Now,
what do you mean gets back? Gets back from where?
Gets back from the government.
So it was money. It was money that they gave to government first.
It's fine. It's fine if you want to describe the fact that the oil industry pays out taxes and that in some ways they've already given the money to the government and now they get the money back. But the point is they've already given the money to the government, and the government has made a choice to say that we're going to give the money back to the oil industry so that it can drill more oil. And from the liberal perspective, from the perspective of liberals, we would say that that industry doesn't need the money. It's profitable as it is, and it can afford to take the risk on its own to drill holes. Some of them will be dry, some of them will have oil in them. However, it would make more sense if we took that money that we are now choosing to give to the oil industry and give it to emerging energy markets like solar, like wind, like wave, like...
So you want to tax the oil industry in the name of its competitors. You want to redistribute wealth earned by the oil industry in a free market and give it to something that you want to replace them, and they don't like that idea, and you're shocked.
No, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that they don't like it, and it's perfectly fine for them to argue on their behalf. However, I don't agree with it. I believe that what's best for this country is if we take the resources that we have and invest in future markets.
But
that's not an uncommon
now,
choice.
just tell me where that's a power of the federal government. I have my Constitution here. Tell me where that's a power of the federal government to do.
The power of the federal government to tax is enumerated in several clauses in...
No, but there's also... Hold on.
You have the benefit of the Constitution in front of you. I'm actually driving my car. I can't read the Constitution.
Okay,
However,
well, stop talking, Ian. Stop talking. This is a dialogue. You don't just filibuster. Okay? Because the government has the power to lay and collect taxes doesn't mean it has the power to dictate whatever it wants to do and spend on whatever it wants to spend. What kind of insanity would it be for the oil industry to sit there and say, so the idea now is that we produce something that the country needs for its economic survival, and you're going to take our money that we produce for you and ultimately try to destroy us with it in the end?
Andrew...
Don't use my name like you're talking to a child, Ian.
Geez, Andrew, it's just your name. I wouldn't have thought that would have upset you. But nevertheless, the point that I'm trying to make to you is that we elect officials on both sides of the aisle. They sit down and make decisions. They take votes on it. And if at the end of the day, the vote is decided that what we ought to do is take that money and spend it on emerging energy markets, that wouldn't be a violation of the law.
Yes, it would. Because it doesn't say anywhere in the 18 enumerated powers that the federal government can spend money on emerging energies. That's not a power of the federal government.
The federal government has the power to tax. It has the power to
Okay,
tax
Ian, you're going around in circles. Ian, listen to me very carefully. The power to tax does not mean the power to spend.
The federal government has the absolute power to spend money. There's no question about it.
It only has 18 enumerated powers to spend money on, Ian. That's it.
So, are you trying to tell me that the government cannot spend money? What are you saying?
It can spend money. Are you listening, or are you just out there in La La Land?
Oh, come on, Andrew.
Okay, Ian, listen very carefully again. You're a really smart liberal, and I'm a really dumb conservative. So I'll make this simple for you. The federal government has limited enumerated powers in a scope of authority. That's the lines in which it could spend money on. It doesn't have an open power to spend. It simply doesn't.
But it can make laws however it chooses. It can.
No, it can't, sir. Ian. That is the concept of limited government. It can't make whatever laws it wants to make.
You're right. It can, as long as the Supreme Court knocks them down.
No, there's no power of the Supreme Court to decide that either, sir. You may be absent. You may be absent of your Constitution. When you get home, read it. Thank you very much for the call.